So, Tim, you seem excited about something.
I'm I would say 8 minutes late to this recording, and I think I can justify those 8 minutes to you, Juliet. I just came back from Magic Camp. We were playing Magic for all weekend with some friends. I had kind of a hard out today to try to do the, almost 2-hour drive back from the coast. But the host was like, we got to get in one more game before we go. I've got these precons here. They're from Lorwyn. And the deck that I was playing was the Merfolk Tap Untap deck.
Incredible.
It adds a couple extra minutes to the game to play that deck. So it was a free for all. I had to bide my time. I had to tap untap for value 1,000 times.
Did you cast Marrow Commerce at all?
Oh, I don't know if I had Marrow Commerce. I had the Mill Marrow. I had a tap to drain something's power. I had the tap to draw some cards. One person was gaining a ton of life, so I had the Mill Marrow on them, and then I had to create some infighting on everybody else. But that took some time.
That is exciting. Marrow Commerce is, of course, a 1 in a blue Kindred Enchantment Merfolk, uncommon from original Lorwyn. At the end of your turn, untap all Merfolk you control.
Oh, okay.
You can tap them even more.
I see this, yes. It's the multiplayer thing of if I had this Marrow Commerce, I might have died because they might have seen it and gotten too scared. I had to just thread the needle. I had the take an extra turn champion Merfolk, but I kept it in my hand the whole time. Didn't want to draw too much heat.
I never thought about playing them in multiplayer.
Couldn't block anything, so I had to lay low, let everyone else be a threat. My biggest creature was a 1/3.
That is the Marrow thing, right? The goblins and the elves are going to war against each other. Let's duck underwater for a little bit. Guess what they aren't going to set on fire? Things underwater.
Every goblin was at least a piece of ammo to kill another creature. So anything that was too strong was murdered. That's my teacher, sorry I'm late story.
Yeah.
Welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Tim.
I'm Juliet.
Challenge review apps are back. We had another month, so another challenge for all of you. We got another huge bumper crop of cards to review. So we're going to be splitting those up for a couple weeks. These challenge reviews are kind of all about collaborating with everybody to unpack cards, to think through the effects of different cards, different mechanics, different setups for sets. Where could this fit? Is this a commander card, a limited card? All those kinds of things. We're trying to unpack it more than we are trying to rate a card 1 to 10. And that's going to mean going deep as well. We're going to be talking about each of these cards for probably 5 minutes or so. But the other thing we got to do is we got to know what that challenge was.
Yes. Our July Design Challenge was kind of fun, kind of a doozy, kind of a record setter, I think. It was Incarnation Day, design an incarnation that could be part of a cycle. And then we've got some bonus points here. The first is in core nation, like a core set, that this card could be printable in something like Foundations 2 or a Foundations Jumpstart set, maybe. And then we've got 5 bonus points based on whether, the card's color to help you narrow down what name because incarnations could be a lot of different English words, just a lot of different things. And so if your card is white, its name is a regal virtue. If your card is blue, its name is about ink or octopi. If your card is black, its name deals with the Gnostic separation of mind and body. If your card is red, its name is a cowboy word. And if your card is green, its name deals with flowers. And those bonus points are in that order of Wooburg: in coronation, ink carnation, Incarnation, Intarnation, and Incarnation.
There we go. Yeah. So we got a lot going into the names of these cards. And then the main thing, these incarnations, these are usually sort of like abstract concepts in some way. Like we had anger and all those back in the day. We had some new ones in Lore and Eclipsed, and implying a cycle. So we're not going to get the other 4 cards in the cycle. People are submitting 1 card at a time. But something about this card you could cycle out to the other 4 colors.
Our first submission is from Plum Tree Chloe. It's Seth, Soul of the Zagoth. It's 1 blue and a black. That's 3 mana for a 3/3 legendary creature, octopus beast incarnation. Seth has flash if you control an instant or sorcery spell. This legendary creature also has vanishing 3, so you play it and then it'll lose its time counters, then eventually leave. It has imprint. When Seth enters, exile target instant or sorcery you control, so that's probably on the stack. And then finally, X, like X mana, pay X life, tap this creature. You may cast a copy of an instant or sorcery card exiled with this card. X is that card's mana value.
Wow. Okay. A couple things to break down here. Starting off, this is blue-black, so it's 2 color. 3 mana, 3/3. It has vanishing 3, so we're going to get a couple turns with this card, and then it goes away. It has a tap ability, so we're going to get a couple taps out of this ability. And then the sort of main mechanic here is that this is going to eat a spell that you're in the middle of casting, and then you get to, in the future, sort of tap this to cast it again. I cast my divination, my draw 2. Oh, and I flash this in, I eat that divination, the divination doesn't go off, but I get to cast a divination a couple times in future turns until this vanishes.
This might have easier ways to do or kind of like combine parts of these texts, but it's kind of funny or notable that our first card up for this Incarnation Challenge isn't like a 1-word thing, but this like character with a name and a place, Seth, Soul of Zagoth, which helps locate this in the Idris Soul of the TARDIS cycle. Hypothetically started by the Doctor Who set, which is that card is 1 blue and a red for a 3/3. It also is a legendary creature with vanishing 3, imprint, and then a third ability that deals with the imprinted cards, like mana value.
Okay.
So the Soul of the TARDIS does that with artifact, like an artifact you on the battlefield. And Seth, Soul of the Zagoth, presumably from Zagoth, is Sultai?
Yeah. Most of the incarnations are sort of elemental concepts, but there just happens to be this incarnation from the Doctor Who set, like you said, that has vanishing 3, that has imprint. When I first heard you reading this card, I'm like, why vanishing? Why imprint? Well, it's because it's following a cycle that Wizards started.
Yeah.
Vanishing 3, vanishing is, which one is vanishing and which one is...
Okay, fading is the old one. Vanishing is the time spiral introduction.
Okay.
So when you actually remove the last time counter on vanishing, it goes away. Fading is the one where you try to remove one and then it goes away, I think. So vanishing is the simpler fading. Yeah.
So you got a tap ability here. A lot of this really matters, like the numbers, because you get a certain number of casts of this spell, and how many casts you get, I think, really changes the strength of the card. Like if you only get 1 extra cast, then why bother? If you get 10 extra casts, then I can definitely make that work. Vanishing 3, which, on your next turn, when you finish being summoning sick, you're going to go to 2, then you're going to go to 1, then you're going to remove the last one, but maybe kind of like Urza Saga style, because it's a tap ability, you could fire that off as it dies. So you can get 3 casts of the spell. I guess the other sort of thing that's going on is I don't get 3 free casts. I have to pay X at X life, where X is the card's mana value. So I get to pay for 3 divinations to get 3 divinations. Well, the idea there is that I am not necessarily getting like a explosive deal. I'm really counting on locating a couple really key, inexpensive instants and sorceries so that I can make the most of Seth.
And you already needed the mana to be able to cast it the first time. So for the most part, the fact that you are paying equal to the mana value rather than like the specific cost of the mana value. Like it might be, oh, I was able to fix for Wooburg the first time and now I'm just paying 5 color, like, but for the most part that's not going to make a difference. You mentioned Urza Saga, and honestly, looking at like Idris Soul of the TARDIS and Seth Soul of the Zagoth, I'm like, maybe this would work better as a saga. I don't know that it would fit the flavor, but like in the style of a summon creature where you go, okay, this is the amount of turns I have to attack. And it's like, okay, when it enters chapter 1, exile this thing. And then chapter 2, it gains, you can do this ability. And then a third chapter, you know, some little trinket or something that it sticks around. Like Urza Saga, being able to use it that extra time. Yeah.
That's a good insight. Like the saga creatures from Final Fantasy, I know exactly when those are going away. Like I feel like with Vanishing, I always have to think hard and kind of map it out in my mind. But yeah, the saga creatures are much, in my opinion, much clearer in terms of what you know, where they are at, how much time I have left. You know I don't get the attack on the last one because the saga evaporates.
And I do think if this was the first saga creature really being printed, we might have similar, like, oh, wait a minute, it lasts 1 fewer turns than I thought it did, or something like that.
Oh, okay,
but
yeah.
Being more familiar with the Final Fantasy sagas, and personally, I found them kind of pretty fun. I thought that was a
big
neat
asset
thing,
to that limited format for sure. Yeah.
Your brain kind of adapts to learning that math pattern. The same way if we played with vanishing cards every year, that math would just be like, oh, it's obvious. Everyone
I guess
knows.
that's true. Yeah, that's fair. We just play with sagas more than we play with this kind of stuff. Yeah, time countery stuff.
And just the way the card is ordered, you don't necessarily know, like, okay, which of these lines do I really need to read before the other to get context? Which a saga, it's easier to do that because the format is telling you read these in order, and the Vanishing 3 part is just in the frame rather than in its own line of text.
Yeah, it's like in the frame. Yeah, a little tracker on the side. Maybe you don't. It's like mostly looks like a normal Magic card, except that you have a tracker just to see the tick down visually. Yeah. Maybe my last part to try to figure this card out is figuring out, like, let's say I do locate like a really strong card, like let's just take like a Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares kind of thing. Famously good removal spell, right? I'm going to cast this Swords to Plowshares. Whoop! Not really. Here comes Seth. Eat the Swords to Plowshares. So I'm 4 mana in right now. Next turn, I get to pay my 5th mana in order to cast the first swords. I get to pay my 6th mana to cast my second swords, my 7th mana to pay my 3rd swords, and then the thing dies.
Right, okay, so you'll untap with this, enters with 3, and then you're removing 1 on that upkeep. And then, okay, second upkeep, third, okay, oh, right, because you can cast it on the third.
Yeah, I can't attack on 0, but I can tap a tap ability on 0.
Right, right.
So I get 3 casts for 7 mana. I got to get 3 casts of Swords to Plowshares over a fairly long period of time. I think it blew. If I wanted 2 copies of, I could probably find a spell that gives me 2 copies of Swords to Plowshares. It's a little hard to get ahead with this card, I would say, but it's got a lot of cool stuff going on.
And I have to have good targets during the time for it to be worthwhile. You know, if I put a discard spell on this, can I turn a duress into 3 duresses? I really also want to compare this card to Isochron Scepter in particular. Which is specifically exiles instants, mana value 2 or less. But for the most part, the instinct that you and I both would have would be to mostly be putting instants with low mana values as the thing that, like you mentioned, Swords to Plowshares. You know what I mean? Like things like that, or combat tricks. You're getting Seth potentially able to flash block in then if blocking as a 3/3 matters, and also just you have more flexibility that you can then tap Seth on your opponent's turn to do something. You can do more. And also just 1 mana instants tend to be pretty strong.
We jumped straight into the deep end on this challenge with this card.
Very true.
I don't think anyone could suggest that this is going to pass for the Foundation's bonus point.
I agree.
And Seth, I don't know, blue, black. I'm not seeing the naming stuff either, which doesn't seem like it was the goal. Looks like they're just trying to hit us with the funny TARDIS cycle. All right, next up from Eint, we've got Obfuscation. This is 3 blue, 5 mana for a 3/3. Creature incarnation at rare. At the beginning of each upkeep, if this creature is in your graveyard, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do, target creature becomes a copy of another target creature. Wow.
This kind of gives you a spell to cast from your graveyard, and it stays in color because it requires blue in the way that like previously Wonder would require an island or something like that.
Yeah, this is closest to Genesis, which was from that same cycle at the beginning of your upkeep. It's a green card. You can pay 2 and a green if you do return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. So it like does raise dead. Kind of a flashback that never exiles. Which I think we would normally say is kind of like iffy gameplay. If your opponent doesn't have graveyard interaction, then being able to do the same game state over and over and over is a little tough on Genesis. On Obfuscation, I think the thing that you're doing is a little less straight up value. Like it's not like Genesis where you're just like basically drawing a card every time you want to. Obfuscation, it's a little less just straightforwardly repetitive. Like I think you're going to be doing different things every turn with this and probably hopefully moving your game forward.
Yeah, I wonder if one of the things you might be doing is turning kind of off another of your opponent's creatures.
Yeah.
That if you've got a wall or something, you can just be like, hi, you're a neutral 1/1, or you're a 0/4 defender, and then each turn kind of being able to semi-permanently, because there's no like escape clause to it, just be able to turn off a attacker each turn.
Yeah, the exact effect here is worth saying again. So it's 2 and a blue, so you're paying 2 and a blue. Target creature becomes a copy of another target creature. That's missing some text, you might assume. It doesn't say until end of turn. And I think the incentive here is that you have hopefully one crappy creature on your board, and then you start turning your opponent's creatures into that crappy creature. In a great world, you could do the opposite. They have an awesome creature that's tapped or whatever, and then I turn my guy into that awesome creature, and then I attack with it or whatever. Maybe the thing that this does do that's a little tough is like now my opponent wants to play around this, and they're like, I can't play anything good because then you just turn all your stuff into my good thing. Or to, nerf it down into being a little weenie. So they don't really want to play their cards. They can't really cast expensive stuff as long as this is threatening the game. Is this kind of thing safe for like a commander game? I think so, because there's going to be graveyard hate. The amount that you can take over the game is not that high with this, and I think it's instead just a very fun commander card. But in a one-on-one kind of drafty sort of thing, this is kind of intense.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the like shifting woodlands, omniscience sort of spaces, because of how easy getting this in your graveyard would be for like a turn 4 combo deck. It's tricky because of specifically the timing window here, that I don't think it's likely for you to be able to get a Primeval Titan out and then target your Dryad Arbor to turn it into a second Primeval Titan necessarily. But you might be able to, I think in general, play this card with 1/1 token generators, whether it's like Dwarven Mine stuff or something else. And that way you can turn your opponent's things into vanilla 1/1s or your vanilla 1/1s into something better. And either way, that delta is, you benefit the bigger that delta is. I could see a world where you are doing a Goryo's style, like instant speed reanimation. I don't know for certain whether or not if I put this trigger, like my upkeep begins, If I Goryo's a Gristlebrand or something similar onto the battlefield, then do I still have an opportunity to target a 1/1 token and make it become a copy of my Gristlebrand? Like, I don't know when the targeting necessarily, with like specifically beginning of turn sort of things. I don't know that there's a window, which might mean, hey, this is a fair card to do silly things with if you can't, specifically because this window is beginning of each chapter. When I say fair card to do silly things with, specifically when talking about like high intensity competitive, like 1v1 Magic, I think in like casual Magic, this card is so frustrating. Limited, this card might just like, okay, well, I'm going to keep playing out, but I can't win, but also you can't win. That sort of kind of frustrating. You know, I want more out of it on the battlefield, even if that isn't in the style of the old-fashioned incarnations. So this is too loyal for my modern design sensibilities to the old.
Yeah, I guess if you're trying to say, like, could this have existed back in the day of Genesis? Yeah, I think they weren't quite as keen on copying back then. I think it kind of uses the Genesis technology in a way that, like, I kind of like somehow.
I want this to also be you may have this creature enter as a copy of, et cetera, et cetera. Like, make this a 0/0 with, hey, you really got to copy something, and that's its like on the battlefield effect, and then this at the beginning of each upkeep, if this creature is in your graveyard, it's like in the way that like Wonder had flying or Anger at Haste. Make Obfuscation a 5-mana clone that you can also just have die immediately if you don't make it a copy of anything. It just dies as a 0/0 and then goes on. Yeah, you paid 5 mana to put this in your graveyard. That's fair.
Yeah, it's kind of unintuitive gameplay. I'm playing this against a newer player. They have their mind totally blown. Like, are you cheating right now? Kind of stuff. Whereas if you put a clone on the front, maybe the card makes more sense then, because they at least see the clone to start with. Yeah, I kind of like this card for commander shenanigans, but it is an intense card for maybe one-on-one play.
I points out that there's another card that I was forgetting in the Genesis cycle, which is Glory, which is another 3 white and white. You have 5 mana, 3/3. This one flying and pay 2 and a white as an activated ability. Choose a color. Creatures you control gain protection from the chosen color until end of turn. Activate only if Glory's in your graveyard. It's crazy. Yeah, very fun. In the way that like Genesis is an upkeep trigger, like Obfuscation is.
Yeah.
But Glory just says, this is an activated ability of a card in your graveyard.
Yeah.
Glory be unto you.
Maybe we should not be printing cards that are really game-shattering combat tricks from the graveyard. I think this is the only card, the trivia on this one is the only card printed in Hebrew. There's a promo version of it.
Sure. I saw somebody talking about a Hebrew print of it earlier. That's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the card. What do we got next?
Our next submission is from Red Bay. It's Innovation. It is 5 and a blue. That's 6 mana for a 3/3. This time it's an artifact creature robot incarnation. It's at rare. It has affinity for islands. So being a 5 and a blue card, you could potentially cast this for a single blue mana if you have 5 islands out. And when this creature enters, you may reveal an artifact card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand. If this creature would die, exile it instead.
Wow. 6 mana, probably closer to 3 mana, 2 mana, 3/3. When it enters, you wish for an artifact. Is that you just straight up just get to get an artifact out of your sideboard? And then if it would die, it exiles. So you can't like recur it very easily. You can blink the crap out of it. I feel like Red Bay's giving us a lot of juice here, and I'm wondering if I'm missing something. Tutoring or wishing is like a pretty intense effect too. I mean, I guess maybe we're going with incarnations. They're supposed to be these crazy effects.
This feels surprising. This feels spicy.
Yeah.
I want to immediately also ask, do you think this is a Wooburg cycle of affinity wishes? Like, affinity wishes. They can't be cast for free just for a single mana.
Yeah. 1 mana, 3/3s.
And, hey, it's not affinity for artifacts. It's affinity for islands.
Yeah.
So,
it's a little harder to go fully nuts with it.
If I have 3 islands out, then this is a 2 and a blue. Yeah, so I can just cast this for the 3 islands and get a 3/3 that also wishes for an artifact. It's like Karn, but different. It's cheaper than Karn. Karn the Great Creator, as far as pulling an artifact from your sideboard or something similar.
So there were these other wishes back in the day, like the one that does what this effect does, Golden Wish, was 3 white for get an artifact or enchantment from outside, put in your hand as a sorcery. There was also like 3 mana to get an instant, 2 mana to get a sorcery, and so on. Those are old cards. They were occasionally sort of like super busted, occasionally not. They were in like world championship decks and stuff. I guess the only other thing that I feel like is precedent that we can use is a card Fae of Wishes, which is a card from Throne of Eldraine. It's a 1 white flyer with some, kind of stuff. But then it has an adventure on it. Granted, 3 and a blue. Choose a non-creature card you own from outside the game, reveal it, put it in your hand. For 4 mana, we can lock in getting it. Like, they were okay enough printing this, in Throne of Eldraine as a treat. So maybe cost-wise, we're not in a crazy place. It's just such an unusual effect to see.
It would change the landscape in a way, right? Like, this would make people either play monocolor or play even more of a like fetch shock sort of setup. Like in the same way that kind of the new domain cards sometimes did a little bit. So imagine a world where this does exist, and you do want to be grabbing. I mean, are you going to be grabbing Ponza pieces? Like the is it Quicksilver? The ones that turn opponents' creatures, but like without Karn as an element. I'm not trying to be too Karn pilled, but I'm just trying to like anticipate the thing that gets the most broken with this. And maybe one of the actual answers is, hey, I play Innovation, and then in my sideboard I have 2 different artifacts that do graveyard hate, 2 different artifacts that do like et cetera, that are storm hate, that are creature hate, and I'm playing 4 innovations, and I'm planning on always having a hate piece to play on turn 4. Won't be turn 2, but I'll draw it basically every game because I'm going to be able to play it turn 4. That sounds fair. But maybe the cycle wouldn't be like a tight, perfect cycle where there's a 5 and a green wish for a creature sort of thing with affinity for forests. I could imagine a world where that's not great for things. Who knows? Maybe people are already going to be doing that too much. But yeah, I'm coming around to thinking this is a fair, weird toolbox card. Maybe.
All right. I
do like pulling cards from sideboards. Personally, I really think it's fun. I want to say the card is it from Research Development that puts cards from your sideboard into your deck? You just shuffle them in. That's a fun thing. But this is innovation. This is, I'm seeing something and I'm going to respond to the stimuli of the opponent's deck by pulling up this thing.
Why not?
Does this feel like something you would see in Foundations 2, potentially?
I guess the robot part,
Mhm.
I feel like that's for entrenched. Like we've got Incarnation and we got robot. Like I feel like we're going to a specific flavor here. Not fully Foundations. I don't
Gotcha.
know. Yeah.
It wouldn't be Foundations Jumpstart because that doesn't have
Ah,
sideboards
fair
typically.
enough. Yeah.
And
There you go.
I want to ask that question also about obfuscation a little bit, which I think I am I think I'm not on board with for Foundations because
Yeah.
of that kind of like graveyard interaction-y sort of way. That doesn't mean that there won't
Mhm.
be graveyard interaction or combo like pieces in Foundations, just that it wouldn't be something I would
Mm.
super pitch. But I do think obfuscation absolutely hits Ink and Octopi. Innovation and Ink, I can see it. I can see
Oh, okay. Mm.
something there. Thanks for the submission, Red Bay. A real thinker. I feel like I'm going deep on these cards, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's Incarnations for you.
You gotta. We gotta
Mhm.
figure it out. Alrighty. Next up from Yabo. Oh, looks like we might have something going on here. Oh, this
Uh-huh.
looks like a two-sided card. You get two cards for one. One side's called War, the other side's called Peace. So this is one of those cards that you can cast whichever side you want, like the kind of new Marvel flip cards. The War side is 2 red red for a 5/2 at Mythic. So 4 mana 5/2 Mythic. It has Menace and Haste, which I think you're already pretty close to a strong card just with the
Mhm.
Menace and Haste here. Whenever this creature enters or transforms into war, this creature deals 2 damage to any target. And at the beginning of each end step, if no creature attacked this turn, you may pay 1 and a white. If you do, transform war. Okay, so it sounds like we're going to get keywords, an enter or transforms trigger, and then at the end step, something happens.
Mhm.
The other side piece is also, this is a white card, but it's 2 white whites, still 4 mana. It's a 2/5 instead of a 5/2. It has Defender and Lifelink. Whenever this creature enters or transforms into peace, you gain 2 life and draw a card. Whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you, you may pay 1 and a red. If you do, transform peace.
Interesting. The white side particularly good if you just need to draw a card and or you are really behind on life and won't win a race. There's something of Huntmaster of the Fells to
Okay,
this.
sure.
In some way, that's not exactly the right thing, but this pings creatures pretty well. I think a lot of the times I'm playing war down, even if I'm facing an aggressive board, because removing a creature like proactively is pretty good.
Hmm.
And then I can play war, shock a creature or an opponent,
Yeah.
and then if I have both the 2 red red to have played war the first time, or the front side, and 1 in a white, on that end step, I can flip it to peace as long as I didn't attack my opponent with my menace haste creature. And so then on my opponent's turn, I have a 2/5. I've just
Hmm.
shocked and gained 2 life and drew a card. And now my opponent has to decide whether or not to. Oh, whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you. So
Hmm.
you're in peace mode until they attack you. Gotcha. I read and caught on to the first flip trigger for 2 mana and mistakenly reapplied it to the back half, which is whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you, pay 1 red.
Hmm. I think the combination of menace and being able to shock something like really makes it hard to stop this guy. And um, your opponent has to attack you back eventually, or like they can't be fully defensive, or else you get to do the flip flop. You get to maybe get the other card, you get to draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, seems quite powerful no matter what you use it for. I mean, even just the peaceful side 4 mana, enters, draws a card for a 2/5 that's gonna, stop the assault.
Once upon a time, we played Rock's Meditant. It used to be that you took the draw card you could get on a creature in white, and maybe here too. The most interesting part of this design is playing war face up, and the question: do you attack with your 5/2 menace haste creature the turn you play it, or do you say, I would rather have 2 more life and draw a card than 5 points off my opponent's life total, or kill another 2 of their creatures because they had to double block for the menace? And that's an interesting question in terms of, that'll come up differently in different play. I think it might be fairly obvious when you're actually at the table which one you want to do, but that in, hey, I'm going to be a red deck and I'll make sure I have a white source, so that if I have the stuff, I can flip it. But for the most part, this is remove 3 of my opponent's creatures or one of them and then hit face. Or if my opponent has no creatures, I can just deal 7 damage to them just right away.
Yeah.
2 to the face, attack you with 5 haste. Yeah.
That's plan A with war to me. It's just I have a ball lightning that I get to keep, and that maybe can even draw me some cards.
You know what? That's a great point. A ball lightning that you can occasionally do part of the stuff and then draw a card, or in a pinch directly cast as a draw a card thing. Yeah, this is the only downside that Peace introduces, that you can't play war in a commander deck that doesn't have white. That's the downside.
Yeah. All right. So I think we understand this is like a pretty strong card. The amount of flip-flopping it does is maybe kind of limited because it has to be this combination of nobody attacking and also you being hit. So maybe you're not like constantly flip-flopping Huntmaster style. How do we feel about some of these bonus points here and about the cyclingness? Could I get 5 cycles out of this? Could I have the blue-green one? Could I have the black-white one?
Yeah, I think we could make 5 enemy ones. I think I would probably aim to target them at different formats or player types, or does that make sense? I don't know that I want all of them to be as good one-on-one as war is. That might be a little much. Maybe some of them are, hey, this one is 6 mana, this thing, and it's a bigger effect, but et cetera, et cetera. But I could definitely envision doing that. You would want to be very creative about the words, or maybe we say War and Peace is a different card than other split cards that have used the word peace in them, or anything like that. I even think this is plausible for Foundations too. I wouldn't ask for it, but it is certainly something that they could be doing if they want to be doing modal DFCs in Foundations 2, for the Mythics. Yeah. Let's look at from Yabo. New cycle of incarnations, where the backside is an antonym of the front side. This could be just be in enemy colors, or there could be allied ones as well. This is inspired by the transforming legendary creature cycle from Lorwyn Eclipsed, which makes sense. Peace, also, talk about bonus points, totally hits. This isn't like a wag of the finger necessarily, but I'm not giving a cowboy bonus point to the word war. War is absolutely a mono red incarnation if you want it to be. I don't think it's uniquely red, but it could be. I don't think war counts as a cowboy word. That's my interpretation of the world and of the Magisteria. But thank you for the submission.
Yeah, I like it. Cool card.
Our next submission is from Cord Framebreaker. It's Mortality. For 3 black, so that's 6 mana for a 6/6 creature incarnation at rare. This mono black 6-drop gets us Menace and Death Touch, and as long as this card is in exile and you control a basic swamp, creatures have Death Touch.
What?
To empower this, it has Warp for 3 generic mana. You may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost, exile this creature at the beginning of the next end step. Then you may cast it from exile on a later turn. I love this.
Usually warp was like goes with like an enters ability, like hey, when you enter blah blah blah, get a 1/1 token or draw a card or whatever. So that you can play for 3, get some basic effect, and later when you have your 6 mana, come back and finish casting it. Here, the upside that you get for warping it is that you kind of have this rule going where creatures have Death Touch. Everybody's got Death Touch, Death Touch, Death Touch, Death Touch. It's in exile, so your opponent is really unlikely to be able to interact with that. So in terms of like, can you build around this? Can you count on having this effect? Yeah, you can super count on having this effect. Even more so than that like clone graveyard thing. Exile's even more safe. And then you just get to go nuts with Death Touch, whatever your Death Touch dreams demand.
Yeah, this is a universal Death Touch, which I think really fits the theme of mortality, meaning anytime a creature touches another creature, they will die. You could, hypothetically, find some way of bringing a basic swamp in and out of the battlefield, or having something like, I don't know, a basic forest that you turn into a swamp until end of turn, like during your opponent's attacking step or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's possible, but realistically, you have at least one basic swamp on the battlefield, and it's just gonna stick there. I really think the combination of warp and stick around in exile is a clever thing to do with incarnations to follow up on the wonder, the anger, the genesis, the glory, etc. But do it in a new and different way, because like exile exists now, and do it in a spacey way because of warp and Edge of Eternities, and then later, like, is all creatures have Death Touch necessarily backbreaking? Maybe not. This is another one where you say, hey, I'd like to play this with a bunch of 1/1 token generators, so my opponents struggle to attack me, and then later on I can put out a 6/6 when I feel like it. It's a 6/6 Menace Death Touch. That's going to be pretty good. It's not necessarily going to win the game on its own in the late game, but hypothetically, you can just bring it out at any time.
Yeah. If you just need your big creature now, you don't need your build around anymore. You've already done all your crazy stuff. You've played your creature that when this enters, deal 1 to everything. You've gotten your board wipe in, and then you bring in mortality in behind it. I guess you have a lot of ways of building around it, so you can be pretty sure that when you warp this, you'll get some sort of advantage out of it. You just spray a bunch of 1/1s on the battlefield. Now you can't really be attacked. Any creatures that deal damage themselves directly, like a prodigal sorcerer kind of thing. You can definitely make use of this card. I guess the other question is like, what are the other 4 things that we're giving to everybody?
It would be funny if all creatures have flying.
Yeah. Do we have ones for other? All creatures have hexproof? Are we doing that for blue? What else can we do for blue?
I mean, mortality gives all creatures Death Touch. The blue version, all creatures have like exile touch. we need to one up. We need to introduce. Maybe blue is all creatures have. Whenever a creature deals, like, as long as this card is in exile and you control a basic island, whenever a creature would deal combat damage to a player, that creature's controller draws a card.
Yeah, so I could guess the cycle exists. Maybe it's not all going to be as pure as give this a single keyword. Maybe it's got to be something a little more complicated for some of the rest of the cycle. So I think we're fully in bounds in terms of the submission. I guess the bonus point for the name, yeah, I think mortality I don't know. That has something to do with the soul in the body.
Yeah, this is. I really feel like
It was on your
the
list
warp.
actually, so I think it's de
Yeah.
facto.
Like what we consider mortal is like our body to a degree, and the idea that there might be something other than our mortal body is part of what I'm asking about for Incarnation,
Yeah.
the black bonus point here. And I think especially because of the warp focus, the exile focus, this creature says, hey, if I'm in the graveyard, I'm dead. And I'm not doing anything. But I'm somewhere other than the graveyard where bodies go. I'm in the space beyond, and I'm affecting the world, and I'm reminding everyone in the normal world, or what seems like the normal world, that you have a body and that body is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that works. The other thing I want to quickly say about this one is my response to it might seem quite different than to the obfuscation we saw earlier, the other kind of graveyard actor. And in this case, I do think it's true that once this is in exile, it is harder to interact with than just removing a graveyard. That definitely is true. You have to have much more niche type of cards. You can interact this while it's on the battlefield the first time. The other really big vector for this is, hey, if I'm playing against a mortality deck, I can know that my creatures are going to have Death Touch, the same way if I'm playing against a deck that uses Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth with Cabal Coffers. I know that I can have black mana at any time, and I can play my sideboard strategy around that if I need to. I can interact with that. I can make them kind of regret. I can turn the tables on making creatures have Death Touch matter. And because of that, this works for me in a way that the other one, like, even that this doesn't have an escape clause, I think the escape clause is giving a universal benefit that your opponent can try to turn into a drawback.
Yeah, I think there's a second sort of component to that where if I want this effect to be completely protected, I'm missing out on a free giant creature.
Mm-hmm. And if I do that, my opponent can kill it then if they need to. Yeah.
There's incentive to break out of the loop, I guess, compared to the copy one. I like the copy card, but compared to obfuscation, where there's no incentive to ever remove this from your graveyard. Yeah, you're just kind of stuck doing the same thing. Very cool card. Feels like this is really hitting the challenge squarely. This is hitting a bonus point. I don't know if I'd go full all the way to Foundation's bonus point for this, but this is hitting the challenge really precisely. Innovative, fun. You can start to dream. Great submission.
Yeah, I want to see this cycle in the next Edge of Eternities if they don't do a twist on Warp.
Yeah, and Incarnations, like the kind of unknowable, vast creatures in space, that also feels like a great Edge of Eternity fit. Our next up card is going to be from Wooburg Nick with a card named Rot. The casting cost on this is a little funky. It's got a hybrid black-green and then a black and a green. So 3 mana, one of which is green, one of which is black, and one of which is either green or black. It's a 4/2 for creature incarnation at rare. And then it has a kind of unusual chunk of text here. Ingest, 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 ingest. And toxic too. So we've got the same keyword 10 times. And then the other part here, it says, when rot is put into the graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into your library. Then each opponent sacrifices a non-token artifact or creature of their choice.
So, in jest, because we all remember Battle for Zendikar so fondly and directly, is whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player exiles the top card of their library. So this black-green 4/2 3-drop exiles your opponent's top 10 cards and then gives them 2 poison counters in addition to the loss of 4 life.
Yeah, that's limited. That's a 3-turn kill. To exile 10 three times, that's the 30 remaining cards they could have had in their library.
Does the top half of the card or the bottom half of the card's abilities, like, worry you more?
Uh, when it's put in the graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into your library, then each opponent sacrifices a blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like we're in the, Dread Return. I feel like we talk about this somehow every challenge review. The Narcomoeba, Dread Return, like milling ourselves for a million dredge deck. Because I would love to dredge this. I would love to mill myself, then, edict my opponent whenever I mill this into a graveyard.
I think the place that I worry most about this maybe shouldn't matter.
Oh.
But there's a important old card called Mesmeric Orb, which is used in some strategies. It's 2 mana for an artifact. Whenever a permanent becomes untapped, that permanent's controller mills a card.
Yeah. See this in Commander.
Which if you combine if you combine this with mana rocks that can like untap themselves, I want to say is it Grim Monolith?
Basalt Monolith, yeah.
Basalt, great. Yeah. In Basalt, you can like pay 3 mana to untap it and it taps for 3. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Along the way, have at least one Rot in your library.
Yeah.
And at least one of the Eldrazi Titans, probably Emrakul, in your library.
Yeah.
You can, at any point, cause each opponent to sacrifice. You can, at will, cause them to sacrifice every artifact and creature every non-token artifact or creature they control.
Yeah, this card is quite intense because of that. It's each opponent, so the commander decks are gonna groan when they have to play against this. The commander keeps dying over and over.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just for fun. Maybe it's just trying to go way over the top. We've got ingest on here 10 times. There's got to be some comedy value in that. The Toxic 2 is very funny to have on there with ingest because even if you are, I guess if you're a commander deck, you will die to the Toxic before you die to the ingest. But even our 40 and 60 card decks are probably going to die to the ingest first.
Well, so your opponent, let's say it's a 1v1, they have a 60 card deck, start with 20 life. If they've drawn 7 cards at the start of the game, and then 3 cards since you're casting Rot on turn 3, you're attacking in, you're dealing them chunks of life in 4, Toxic in 2, ingest in 10. In 5 attacks, you will have dealt them exactly 20 life, exactly 10 poison counters, and exactly 50 cards removed from their library.
Okay.
Now, of course, they will have drawn more cards in the meantime, so they'll probably, technically, they would die to the ingest sooner.
They have a chance, yeah.
But it will probably be on your 5th attack that you're killing them with all of this, which is neat, and really also, I think, like hints at you cannot escape Rot. Like you cannot. Sure. It will come for everything you have if you're just trying to evade it rather than trying to do something about it.
Yeah, and even if you kill spell it, it's gonna also take some revenge and.
Oh yeah. Anytime you kill it, you have to sacrifice something. And it gets shuffled back into their library. Wow,
yeah. I hope that Nick's approaching this card with like a little bit of comedy in their heart because I think the ingest is very silly. The ability for you to cycle this into 5 other color pairs also seems kind of crazy. What other keyword are we putting like multiple times? Like I guess prowess we're putting a bunch of times on a card. Like what else can we even do that with?
Lifelink like we used to.
Yeah, there you go. Old lifelink is what the keyword's called. Doing like a power or playability analysis on this is feeling a little silly because of all the different things that it's good at.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just trying to look at the card as it is, and as it is, this card has a lot of different ways to make your opponent suffer. And even the bonus text in the spoiler text is confirming the triple kill.
Yeah, the Sacrament Cons is designed like Decimator Web to let Rot get to 20 damage, 10 poison, and mill out a 60 card deck all at once during its final attack. Yeah.
Cool card, very funny. Thank you for submitting.
Fun. Thanks for the submission. Rot, does it have to deal with The
Flowers?
agnostic separation of mind and body. Yeah, I can see it in flowers. It's a stretch, but I can absolutely see it. Decay exists as an extant form of life, as we all say. That classic saying.
I love saying that.
But yeah, I'll give you it as sure. Our bodies will rot, or maybe just being aware of rot's omnipresence gives us further clarity to what is real and what isn't in the world. Sure.
Yeah.
Our next submission is from Dragon of the West.
Of the West.
It's Levity. It's 5 mana. That's 3 generic and white, blue. So 2 hybrids of white and blue. It is a 4/5 for those 5 mana. It's a creature elemental incarnation at Mythic with when this creature enters, if white was spent to cast it, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain flying until end of turn. When this creature enters, if blue was spent to cast it, creatures your opponents control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 1/1 until end of turn. It has evoke for white, blue, hybrid, like a recent Lorwyn Eclipsed elemental incarnation.
Mm-hmm. The colors on the Lorwyn Eclipse ones were funny because they were sort of following the tribe color pairs for that. So blue-white was not one of the ones that was made originally. So this is plugging into that cycle, and effectively, I think this reads like it could be straight out of that cycle. I would say both of these effects are pretty fun to just evoke for. Like, just given my whole team +1/+1 and flying, I feel I can get a lot done with that card, with that effect. And then shrinking all my opponent's creatures into teeny tiny blockers, I'm also getting a ton done with that. I would be surprised if we got a card that was just blue, all your creatures turned into 1/1s with no abilities. Like, that feels like a pretty strong effect. But we're trying to go big here. We're trying to do incarnations. We're trying to have fun.
This definitely calls to mind the white-blue Shadowmoor of the demigod cycle. I want to say it's Godhead of Awe sets it's the white-blue hybrid one that sets, I believe, all other creatures to base power toughness 1/1 as a thing. Just that's also a 5 mana white-blue hybrid card from Lorwyn Eclipsed is Lorwyn Shadowmoor, and this is a Shadowmoor sort of card.
This is a hard one to dig into because it's just like it exactly hits the pattern, and all the abilities that it has printed on it like make sense. The Boros one gave +1/+1 in haste, and this just gives +1/+1 in flying. It's kind of the same idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just a very nice fit into that cycle. It's hard to do that this cleanly, which is, I think, the main thing to give this. Yeah, just a great submission. I
do like the flavor story of this card. You know, if you can cast it for the full amount, your opponent's stuff, they lose all flying in the process of losing all abilities and become these like 1/1s as your creatures rise above the battlefield and fly above them. You can imagine like your opponent's creatures like looking up and pointing at these, as they shrink and the other ones grow and all of that. And the card name, which is Levity, which is, the art of raising your spirits, right? That's levity is kind of the font of or root of laughter, of joy, of things. We have I would describe kind of like a jackalope with maybe eagle wings or raven wings or something like that. Seeing some magical butterflies. This feels like it could easily be a Lorwyn thing, and this sort of presentation. I definitely can see levity as being a regal virtue. It's not one of the most common ones, but it's certainly something that we appreciate from rulers in general. And I think levity and ink have a really strong combination together.
Yeah. Like I said, it's it hits the challenge very precisely, and that's very cool.
Do you think Foundations 2 would have the other half of the Lorwyn cycle as weird colors, and that's just in standard for 6 years or whatever?
Yeah, maybe not. But I mean, this is like grokkable. I guess evoke. Yeah, maybe not with evoke.
Mm-hmm.
Evoke is a little spiky, I would say. Which is maybe not totally what they're looking for with a whole cycle of Foundations rares.
Jack on the West points out this is clearly a continuation of the Lorna Eclipse cycle, as we saw. Did you catch that the white mode was leaning into the lightness/levitation meaning, and the blue mode was leaning into the humor and jest meaning of levity? I think I got that without noticing that those are two separate things. Yeah.
Very cool. Last up for this episode is going to be from Minnie. It's called Germination. It's 1 green, 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 green. 5 mana, 4 of which is green. For a star 5, creature plant incarnation. It's like a purple flower with a hand reaching out from behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It has reach. Germination's power is equal to the number of forests you control. And then its main ability here is XX. So pay XX. Create X01 plant creature tokens. Activate only if Germination is in your graveyard and only if you control a forest. I think some of the other discussions that we've been having are going to help us break down this one. This is a kind of like Genesis, the existing card, or Obfuscation, the clone card that we saw today. This is an effect that sits in the graveyard if your opponent doesn't have graveyard answers. This is just basically an extra spell in your hand for the rest of the game. The spell that you put in your hand isn't necessarily a groundbreaking one. Paying 2 mana per 01 is certainly a rate that's bad in most cases, but it's not awful. It's not nothing. It's it's a free effect, so it can be overcosted. Until it dies, it's also still a pretty solid creature. 5 mana, 5/5 reach that can trade off and then start pumping out plants.
Yeah, I'm beginning to discover over the course of judging this challenge that I think I like these creatures better when they can be a kind of threat or be something that you want on the battlefield. That this being a 5/5 or 6 or 7/5 potentially, being a 1 green, 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 you assume you're going to be playing a lot of forests just to be able to cast it, and then whenever this comes in, it is a equitable threat to the moment that it is in. And then when it's in the graveyard, you can do this other thing, which you can try to build around. It's got the forest clause on the colorless mana, so this works fine for me as far as putting it in your graveyard. And by making lots of 0/1 plants, I think it kind of indicates, hey, this is germination. It's not the whole cycle of the plant. This isn't growing mighty oaks. This isn't even growing flowers. This is growing seeds. And now you need to do things with that. Are you playing Avenger of Zendikar? What things are you doing to put +1/+1 counters or anthems or other buffs on your creature tokens to really continue to nurture them to be able to grow? And that, to me, is finger guns cool. Hey, the thing I'm going to be doing is the thing that this idea is asking.
I don't know. You said pretty much all of it. And I think we're equipped to understand this card now that we've talked through some of the other ones.
How do you feel about creatures with reach? It's 2026. Let's do a check-in.
Reach.
Yeah. Big creatures, mythic rares.
Reach is a limited mechanic to me. Again, I think it's valuable and limited. I guess it's kind of nice that the plant creatures don't get reach themselves. It's just the big boy that gets reach. It gives more opportunities for this to, make some blocks and die. Though I guess maybe flyers aren't killing a 5 toughness creature. Yeah, so if this is alive, it stalls the air. If it's dead, it stalls the ground.
Great way of putting it. The flavor text here, be fruitful and multiply, as we all know, comes from the book of Genesis, with the instruction of the God to the humanity, hey, do this. And then the big flood happens. And God's like, okay, try again. Hey, do this. Be fruitful and multiply.
Is this card appealing to you? Do you want to make a deck that has this? Are you looking forward to pumping out creature tokens on your opponent's end step?
Maybe not, but I also feel like fascination with mono green is something that has left me over the last 20 years.
Okay.
Which is not too... That's a problem with me rather than a problem with this card. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that you're right that the appeal level might be quite high with this because the green players like to be big. They like to play all forests like that. It's probably the color that has the most devoted newer players. I don't know.
And if you are turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 trying to do things to accelerate the number of forests you have, which is something that green decks are often able to do, then bring this in on turn 3 or turn 4 as, hey, this is a 5/5 or this is a 4/5 and I've been able to like get an extra pip of mana somewhere. Like, this is fun. Hey, here's my mid-range threat. Hey, I'm stabilizing the board against the flyers. You need to deal with this because all my fetch cards now grow this. I also really do like germination, absolutely a flower word, and this is a really good way of setting up what the incarnation is and making it feel like an incarnation.
Yeah, you kind of like the incarnations that exist on the battlefield, and I kind of understand that here. And then the incarnation-iness of like, I've got this kind of rule bendy thing in the graveyard. You know, in the original cycle that had the Genesis and Glory in it, it wasn't the cycle wasn't that tight, right?
Wonder and those were uncommons, right? Yeah, and then Glory and Judgment were actually rares in the original. So kind of two different tiers of whether or not this thing requires like one state of knowledge or actively like interacting with this.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, you're right. There was sort of like Brawn, who was the uncommon representation, and then Genesis was the rare in the same set. Okay.
So, Tim, do you have a favorite from our first episode of Cards?
Who's my favorite here?
Are you finding yourself at peace with a double-sided submission? Are you embracing the innovation of a affinity wish? Are you transported back to Ikoria for a Doctor Who callback?
When we talk favorites here, we're not necessarily picking what we think is like the best card or most precise hit on the challenge or the one that fulfilled the most bonus points, which is kind of the one that maybe that I'd like to play with the most or that I found the most fun. And I think I'm going to pick Obfuscation. I think being able to mess around with copies, I feel like I put this in a commander deck and have some fun. I don't know that I'm recommending Obfuscation to put in your limited formats or whatever, but it feels peak. Let me hit you with this card, guys, with Obfuscation, which is a thing I value in Commander. Here's a weird thing that we're going to get to do for the rest of this game.
And because, we had the full uncommon cycle, but we didn't get the full rare cycle from the original Judgment Incarnations.
Yeah.
Helping fill that cycle makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is going to be Mortality, the 6/6 for 6 mana. That the card submitted here with the warp and all the creatures having death touch. I just think it kind of it sets up new design space in a way that makes me kind of like perk up and go, ooh, this could be interesting to play and interesting to build around. And it embodies its principle and its idea in a way that I quite like.
Yeah. Great submissions though. Love talking through these. Like, I think that's the thing that's great about design challenges. Like, the whole point is to just unpack all this and learn all kinds of stuff. And we got a variety of incarnations that riffed off of all kinds of different things that we've seen. I mean, there weren't that many incarnations. There were something like 30, I want to say. Yeah, 29. And we still got a lot of different riffs. And, we're going to get 2 more episodes of this, and those episodes are going to continue to riff on that. We're going to really build up our knowledge on what makes an incarnation, what makes a big, heavy, rare cycle.
If you remove the alchemy cards, this design challenge is basically doubling the number of incarnations, which is that's fun to see.
Yeah.
The
Alrighty.
end of the first part of a design challenge episode
Yeah, that's true.
marks the beginning of another, and it is the month, believe it or not, of August. Snap your fingers, and it will be November.
Time keeps on slipping.
Yeah, straight into the future. Same as it ever was. But that might be overdoing things a little bit. So let's pull back a bit for our August design challenge. Oh, no, wait. Let's put the foot on the throttle. The challenge is Overload. That's AUG-ERLOAD.
Okay.
Submit for us a card with overload, the keyword, or a similar text/target altering mechanic in that space.
Yeah. A kind of classic rare example of this from Limited that was a powerful card was called Mizzium Mortars. 1 on a red, deal 4 to target creature you don't control. And then for 6 mana, you can overload it, which replaces target with each. So instead of 4 damage to target creature you don't control, it's 4 damage to each creature you don't control. Overload is very clever. We haven't really seen it since. It's maybe a little hard to get a ton of cards out of this for like a draft set, but it's a fun little guess mechanic. You can definitely get another couple cards out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Text changing kind of things. Hey, replace this with that word. I am thinking that we're going to get some pretty wild cards off of this because this is giving you guys some pretty specific and crazy and unexplored ammo to work with.
Sure. Overload, as we've seen it so far, has been a instant and sorcery mechanic. I am open to and interested if you are trying to do a permanent and either just have a twist on overload. We could be thinking about Fathomless Descent here, or a new or different mechanic. You can do a lot of text altering or text replacement. I think I like target replacement or things that engage with that in some way. But we're interested in seeing what you do in this overload space.
I can believe that overload we can sort of think of the rules to let that function as like almost like the way kicker works, where it's like, well, the kickerness transfers into the creature as it enters. So like if its kicker cost was paid, the overloadedness can pass through into the permanent. Yeah. So that'd be interesting.
When this enters, do this thing. And instead now it's This is something I've played around a little bit with my Real Orwin Jumpstart Morningtide stuff, where I was playing around with the goblins having a keyword, which was sensory overload, which is just overload on purpose.
There you go.
That's what all the goblins are doing there. They're just being like, let me. Yeah. But you can also, I know there are other custom mechanics that I think do kind of overload the other direction. Feel free to play in that space. Feel free to come up with your own thing. We're looking for stuff in this area. To help refine you a little bit, our optional bonus points here, we're back to just having 2 this month, are August Player. That the card features the text target player on it somewhere. And Ogre Load. Give the card a ogre or troll theme.
Hey, that's fun. Ogre or troll theme. Need some more of those guys. All right, good idea.
A different direction than the like, is it, sort of style. And those submissions are going to be due August 29th.
All right, yeah, looking forward to that. I this overload stuff, text changing is like a funny little technology, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I have plenty more of these Incarnation cards to look forward to. We'll see you in the next couple of weeks for those. But that'll be it for our podcast for this week. Hop on the Discord. The set from last week, New Requiem Crossfire, the kind of rebel-y city set, mono white border and red bay, just started testing that. So if you just want to jump in a draft for that, usually the playtest drafts, you don't have to play out all the games. You just jump in for the draft your deck, show off your deck, talk about your impressions. That's a fun thing to be part of on the Discord as well. So you can set up to receive that ping and then, have some fun looking at some custom cards, looking at some custom sets, maybe connect some of the stuff you heard about last week on the episode. Anything you want to tell people about?
Engage with stuff on the Discord. We just finished our Christmas in July season of ILB Pod for Casters. You can find that wherever podcasts are found. We've got 3 episodes. First one's talking about Borges and I. It's just mostly a reading of the short story Borges and I. It's 5 minutes long, so it's pretty listable. Second one, talking about a very Jonas Christmas movie. I think it's a blast. Even if you don't know much about the Jonas Brothers, I didn't know much about the Jonas Brothers, so I had a lot to learn there. And our third episode was interviewing a former Design Rush guest of Beacon of Creation, Wheels, at Singular Wheels, who is a religious studies expert and does a religious studies, religious history show. And so we got to learn all about the 3 wise men and a lot of other stuff that kind of intersects with the 3 wise men, up to and including, I believe, both Pokemon and Chrono Trigger get brought up. So if you want to learn about the 3 wise men, the Jonas Brothers, Borges, how all of these things might fit together and have a good time, come check out our most recent season of ILB Pod for Castmas, wherever podcasts are found.
Choose your starter of the 3 wise men.
I'm a Melchior main, but like I really struggle with jungling, so.
Hell yeah. All right. And to find us, like we said, Discord is a place to do that. Most of all, everybody, thank you all for listening.
Now I'm going to get back to packing.